So, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been like a good little minute, or a good little minute, I should say, that I haven't uploaded, but it got a little busy, so I guess I just had to deal with some stuff and, come back. But I have some more time now, so, I'll be uploading a bit more frequently. But today I just want to talk about, respecting yourself. It took me a little minute to remember, but yeah, respecting yourself. Respecting yourself is basically to me is basically not allowing persons to disrespect you, and knowing your worth, knowing who you are, um knowing what you stand for and stuff like that. um in my case, I've kind of been learning to respect myself, because especially with like people, people tend to kind of test you in a way. So they'll say things or do things that, to see like what your reaction, what you're gonna do, you know, to those actions. Like, how are you going to react? And I think that this is where I kind of learned recently that you have to you have to stand up for yourself, and you have to respect yourself. Respecting yourself is not only, um I'm going to be kind to myself, or I'm going to treat myself good. Those are good, but when it comes on to interacting with people, you know and how they interact with you, your reaction to it and those stuff, I think that you have to somewhat be there for yourself. Like, if anything happens, if persons get out of line, or they just say things that you don't like, or you just don't, they're disrespecting you or saying something about you, you know and it happened to me recently, and I think I was so blinded by, you know being being around people, and just having that kind of connection, that it kind of, I overlooked, you know respecting myself. I overlooked it. I didn't really look at it as much, or I wasn't paying attention. But after, like, I would go back home, or I would, like, be at a space where it's just me and myself, I would think back and I would say to myself, I think that this person is not someone I would consider, you know, to be a good, person to be around, or a person that respects me as a person. I was overlooking those things. I wasn't focusing on it, and it's recently I really got the realization that people will test you, to see how you react, and based on that, they will determine how they treat you after. So that was kind of my case. When I first met the person, we were cool. We were just having usual conversations, but as time went on, I kind of realized that it kind of got a bit, he kind of moved a bit different. He started saying stuff that was kind of irrelevant to the conversations that we were having, and just things that I don't really say, or can't I don't have conversations about, because those are kind of out of reach, to be honest. um and that's when I kind of took a step back, and I said, you know what, I don't think I should be around this person. I don't think I should be, in company or anything like that with this person. And it's kind of hard, because in my case, I don't really have where I live, because people around my age, is either they're working or they're just busy. But I'm kind of free somewhat, most of the times, but most of the times I don't have like persons to really be around like that. So that's where like he came in somewhat to fill the space. So it's kind of sad for me because I don't really have people like that around me. But you know you can't really you know accept the disrespect, and just because you don't have people around you, that means you're going to accept the disrespect. I think that you know there's a limit to what you allow people to do to you, and that's basically you respecting yourself. you know I overlooked it. Most of the stuff he said, I just took it. um I just look I didn't even pay attention to it. I just tried to go around it, but deep down I was thinking about it. I was saying to myself that, this is not really the type of people I'm around. I like being around, I should say. Or the type of people I consider, to be my type of company. So I had to just distance myself, from them, from him, I should say, and just, kind of cut the contact and stuff like that. But that's where I think it was a learning situation for me to realize that you have to respect yourself, and you have to, know the boundaries to where a person can talk to you, like, or say certain things to you. You have to have a boundary. You have to have certain set rules that if a person breaks, you have to put them at a distance. you know that's something that I wasn't doing. I was more of looking into the them filling the space of people I didn't have, and that just clouded my mind. But it's just something I had to learn, I guess. But yeah, respect yourself, and you know don't let it just be because you don't have people around you, or you don't have friends or stuff like that, means you're going to be around people that are disrespecting you, that are not uplifting you or giving you positive energy and stuff like that. you know it's kind of sad because there are more negative people than there are positive, or people that just do people wrong than people that do good. you know that's what I'm seeing right now, because especially for me, I'm not the type of person to really you know um curse or anything like that, or like behave certain type of ways. I'm a bit different, so it kind of sets me apart, and also kind of defines the people that I'm around. So it's kind of hard to find like people like me. So that's where like the few the fewer what would I say, friends, or like people that I interact with, it lessens. So that's just something that I learned during this week. um I think that to some extent I see that he's not really that type of person, but I think that he's influenced, because when we're around certain people, he doesn't really like behave that certain type of way. But I think that he's influenced by the crowd or whatever. But I'm not going to let, because all of that, I'm going to take the disrespect and have all of these irrelevant conversations that don't really even make sense. you know so I rather to just stay by myself, and just you know do what I have to do. Yes, it would be fun, more fun, and more, you know, better if I had someone there, but, you know, that's just how it is. You know, most of the times, or most of the things, you know, it's better to be alone, do it alone, because it also teaches you how to spend time with yourself and to, you know, have a relationship with yourself. It sounds a way, you know, it sounds kind of cringe, but because I do sometimes struggle with that, like being by myself and spending time with myself. It's more of me just distracting myself from, you know, actually embracing the loneliness. You know, so I would just scroll or I would just play games and stuff like that, which just distracts my mind from the, you know, the loneliness. But after a while, it comes back to, you know, to just remind me. But, you know, it is what it is, you know. So I'm not really saying I'm going to be looking out for people, you know, to be around, but I do enjoy people, being around people. You know, everyone loves to, you know, have people around them and to have conversations and, you know, do activities and stuff with other people. You know, it's for some people, you know, they like being by themselves, but I believe that even if you do like being by yourself, there has to be like a limit to where you'll do things by yourself, because eventually you would want someone there with you, you know, to kind of talk to and stuff like that, do stuff with. So, you know, no matter how you think that, oh, you can be alone by yourself or whatever, and yes, sometimes it's good, but you have to have some form of connection with others and stuff like that. It's a part of, you know, being human, and, you know, just how the world works. You know, nobody's gonna make it on their own. They're gonna need some help. They're going to need people to motivate them, you know, to, you know, help them when they're down. So we all need people, but, you know, not because we're lacking or not having so much friends means we're going to allow people to like treat us, you know, as they feel, you know. So that's what I was kind of not focusing on and not, you know, being serious about, because most of the times some things were said and I I did react, but I didn't address it. You know, I would react, but I wouldn't address it. I wouldn't say like, you know, I don't really want you to talk that type of way, or, you know, I don't respect those type of things you're talking about. You know, that was where I lacked. You know, I kind of didn't stand up for myself in a way. So I guess that's where, you know, I hold myself accountable for. But now I'm learning. You know, I'm seeing it. You know, as the day goes by, I start to think a bit more different. You know, I start to look on how people, you know, treat me as a person, speak to me and stuff like that. So that's basically what I have to say. So thank you guys for watching. I know, you know, it's been a little minute since I've posted, but I've been a bit busy with school and stuff. But I'm back now because yesterday was the last exam I had to do. So yeah, I'm free now. So you'll definitely see more videos. But thank you for watching. Bye.